Well, hi everybody. Good morning. Meteorologist Travis Klineski here on this Tuesday morning. Let's take a look outside this morning. It's pretty quiet for most of us. In fact, there are probably not nearly as many clouds as what's showing up on Futurecast. Most of us have sunshine. There are a few extra clouds here to the northwest and even a couple of little showers here and there. Most of these will not make their way too far east, but maybe a little light rain in northern Nebraska. The bulk of what we're going to be keeping an eye on later today is actually up here into South Dakota, Wyoming, North Dakota, Montana, as that could actually make its way into our area later today. So today, not a lot to focus on thunderstorm or rain-wise out there. Our winds will eventually become more southeasterly as a frontal boundary, which moved into the area last night, kind of stalled out in southern Nebraska. It's going to lift back to the north as a warm front. So we're going to pick up on southeasterly winds, and what that's going to do is help to really pump in some low-level moisture. So we're going to be looking at some high dew points today. Our dew points could reach the upper 60s and lower 70s. This is going to be a muggy afternoon out there, and with the heat building in, for many of us, not going to be a real pleasant day out there today. At least there's some breeze, though. And then again tonight. Now, while there could be some thunderstorm development out there, most of what we're going to see is actually what moves in from the northwest. We're in northwesterly flow, which means storms move from northwest to southeast. So watch how this plays out here as thunderstorms, again, maybe a little development. The problem is there's a very strong cap in the atmosphere in place, and a cap is like a lid that keeps those storms from going up and firing up. And the cap gets stronger and stronger and stronger the farther southwest you go. So it's going to be harder and harder to get storms in these locations than it will be farther north and east. So initial storms, big hail could be a big problem. There's a low-end chance of an isolated tornado. And then these are going to merge or be kind of change into more of a line of thunderstorms that becomes more of a damaging wind gust threat. It's 8 p.m. here, so we're starting to see activity. Probably nothing in the Tri-Cities till at least 8, if not later, if we even see it. Now again, the bulk of the thunderstorms are likely to pass to the north and to the east, right in here. And look how it starts to transition over to more of a damaging wind gust threat as these become more of a line of thunderstorms. Again, meanwhile, farther southwest, not as much activity. There may be some activity that builds southwest towards the Tri-Cities. Let's take you to 10 o'clock. That's probably our best chance of seeing something, about 10, 11, 12 o'clock, right in there. So there it goes, pushing through eastern Nebraska. Now watch what could happen, though. We may get more thunderstorm development later in the night. Now, it may not be as strong, because at this point, most of our storms are going to be weaker after midnight. But heavy rainfall over the same areas, localized flooding not out of the question here. I'm really concerned that we could see some isolated flooding right in here. In some areas, they were hit pretty hard, like Antelope County. That's not a good thing, but it is good in a way to get the rain because it is still a very drought-stricken area over eastern Nebraska. Now tomorrow morning, a little bit of lingering shower and isolated thunderstorm activity, but most places will be dry, and it's going to be a pretty quiet day for tomorrow. A little cooler for most of us. It depends on where exactly the front is, because that front's going to push back south tonight. It'll make its way south through Kansas tomorrow, and so temperatures will actually be a little more pleasant out there for your Wednesday. The wind's a little lighter near an area of high pressure right here, and we should see plenty of sun. There's just a small, low-end chance of a thunderstorm tomorrow night. Most of us will stay dry, although towards Thursday morning, maybe some new thunder showers start to develop around the area early on Thursday morning. So let's talk about severe weather. First off, today's threat. A new update will be coming out about 8 o'clock this morning. I'm recording this at 7:14. It's 7:14 right now there. But when a new update comes out, I would not be surprised to see this change maybe sometime today. Right now, you have a large area with a slight risk of severe weather from the Black Hills right through much of our area, a lower and marginal threat to the south and west. Honestly, and I could even draw in a line here if you want me to, here I'll draw a line. I think it's these areas here with the best chance of severe weather. And I would not be surprised to maybe see an upgrade to an enhanced risk of severe weather today here. Damage and wind gusts are kind of a big threat, and maybe some large hail. Not much of a tornado threat with this. There is a low-end chance, but not a big threat. Tomorrow, I'm a little iffy on the severe weather, to be honest with you. The Storm Prediction Center has a large part of our area and a marginal risk of severe storms, with even a slight risk to the east. I'm a little iffy on it. I'm not going to say a zero chance, but not a great chance of severe weather tomorrow. Maybe a little better chance on Thursday into Thursday night. So there's a marginal risk for most of our area, and that I think that's a necessary thing right now. Just get a kind of a nice coverage of an area of severe weather. I think as we get a little bit closer to Thursday, the Storm Prediction Center will get a better feel for how that plays out, and that's usually how it goes with these things. It's kind of tough to figure out until the day of, figure out exactly how those storms are going to play out, and even then, sometimes we don't get it right. Highs today. So it's going to be pretty toasty for most of us, but northern Nebraska, so we have a front that's lifting northward, a warm front. Northern areas are going to be a little bit cooler today, low to mid 80s, maybe some upper 80s. But you see a lot more heat in the south and west, low to mid 90s. And with the humidity we're going to be dealing with today, heat index values could be up there around 95 to 100 degrees, maybe even over 100 right in here. It's going to be pretty uncomfortable later on today. Tonight into tomorrow morning, back down into the 60s, maybe some low 70s in the south. Tomorrow's high is a little bit cooler for most of us as that front now pushes southward. It pushes through southern areas later in the day, so might still see some low and maybe mid 90s here, but most of us are going to be back down into the mid and upper 80s for highs on Wednesday. Wednesday night to Thursday morning, we're down into the 60s for overnight lows, and then Thursday, still very warm, but not hot, mid to upper 80s and lower 90s for highs. But after that, temperatures start to creep down a little more heading into the end of the week and the upcoming weekend. So again, we're going to be keeping in this same kind of weather pattern with these off and on chances of thunderstorms as they move in from the northwest. The chances are almost every day in the forecast. Again, a little cooler Friday, Saturday, Sunday, low to mid 80s there, but then it starts to warm up on Monday. And beyond that, there is a chance we could see bigger heat build in. We could be back into the 90s by the middle of next week. I actually want to show you something real quick here, and this is something I don't always show on some of my recordings here. This is the national temperature trend. I want to show you this basically to get you a feel for what we're looking at. So the jet stream kind of goes like this right here. So we're in northwesterly flow. Big time heat over the western United States and the desert Southwest, except for right here where it is cooler. If you watched the Home Run Derby in Seattle last night, they had cloudy, cool conditions, and they expect that again today for the All-Star game this evening in Seattle. And then you have all this cooler air in here and a lot of moisture over New England here. But we've been getting storms coming in like this. They kind of move in like this. This isn't going to change much, but basically what will happen is you see just a small fluctuation back and forth between the battle of the hot air to our southwest and the cool air to our northeast. So let's delete that here and we'll play this out here. So again, watch how as we get later into the week, the heat starts to push back to the southwest, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and some cooler air budges in for the weekend. Not quite so hot. But then next week, the heat starts to build back into the middle part of the country here. So we're starting to get a little hotter next week here. And in fact, most of the middle of the country starts to get pretty toasty by the second half of next week. So we're going to get some summertime heat down the road. And like I said, almost daily chances of rain and thunderstorms. Here's the European forecast model. And we'll play this out here just days on end. I'm not going to focus on any one specific day, but just notice a lot of off and on rain chances coming in from the northwest almost every single day. Not great chances every day, but there are chances here and there almost daily of rain and thunderstorms for the next week and a half. This is the GFS model here, and I'll play this out again. Again, you see these thunderstorms moving in from the northwest, pushing southeastward, almost daily chances of rain. At least a chance of rain and thunderstorms. Some days it will be better than others here as you see this all the way through the long range. So there you go. Wanted to show you that real quick before we wrap things up here, but I hope you all have a wonderful day. Watch for that severe weather this evening and overnight tonight, especially if you live in the north and east. Otherwise, I'll see you all again on Wednesday morning. Take care, and God bless. Bye.